Welcome to the Update Loop, bringing you the latest news from around the world. In the Philippines, a profound military realignment is underway, marking one of the most significant changes in the region's security landscape in recent years. The country, long seen as a strategic outpost, is now at the center of a renewed focus by global powers. This development signals a major shift in Asia-Pacific geopolitics, as alliances are tested and new partnerships are forged in response to rising tensions. The United States is rapidly expanding its military footprint, gaining access to key strategic sites across the Philippine archipelago. These locations are carefully chosen for their proximity to flashpoints like the South China Sea and Taiwan. While this move is officially intended to uphold regional stability and deter conflict, it has triggered alarm and strong reactions in Beijing, which views the expansion as a direct challenge to its interests. The implications stretch far beyond military posturing, affecting global trade routes, economic security, and the delicate balance of power between the US and China. What unfolds in these Philippine provinces could shape international security for decades to come, influencing not just regional actors, but the entire global order. As of August 2025, American and Filipino forces are conducting increasingly complex joint exercises involving advanced tactics, new technologies, and real-world scenarios that reflect the evolving threats in the region. These are not just routine drills. They signal a renewed, strengthened alliance built on mutual trust and a shared commitment to regional peace and security. The expansion enhances interoperability, allowing both militaries to coordinate seamlessly, and gives the U.S. rapid response staging points for any potential crisis. For the Philippines, it means a modernized defense force and a powerful ally in its ongoing disputes with China over contested waters and territories. The South China Sea, a vital artery for global commerce and energy supplies, has become a flashpoint where the interests of multiple nations collide. China's militarized artificial islands have drawn international condemnation and concern, raising fears of further escalation and instability. The U.S. presence is a direct counter to perceived Chinese aggression, aiming to deter further encroachment and reassure allies of America's commitment to the region. The Philippines sits at a crucial crossroads, close to Taiwan and facing the contested South China Sea, making it a pivotal player in any future regional conflict. By securing bases here, the U.S. gains significant operational advantage, enabling faster deployment and greater flexibility in responding to emerging threats. Ultimately, this is about presence, influence, and projecting power in one of the world's most important and contested regions, a tectonic shift that will shape the future of Asia-Pacific security. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, is the legal backbone of this expansion, shaping the modern military partnership between the United States and the Philippines. Signed in 2014, EDCA allows the U.S. to rotate troops and build facilities on Philippine bases without establishing permanent American bases. This arrangement ensures a flexible U.S. presence while respecting Philippine sovereignty and laws. The focus is on co-located sites which remain fully owned by the Philippines but are accessible to U.S. forces for training, logistics, and rapid deployment in times of crisis. In 2023, the agreement expanded to include 4 new strategic locations, now totaling 9 EDCA sites across the country, each chosen for its military and strategic value. 3 of these new sites are in the northern Philippines, positioned close to Taiwan, reflecting growing concerns over regional security and the need for rapid response capabilities. The 4th site is on Balabac Island, facing the disputed Spratly Islands, a hotspot for territorial tensions in the South China Sea. The intent of these locations is clear: to monitor and respond to potential conflicts in both the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, 2 of the world's most contested maritime regions. EDCA aims to improve military interoperability, boost maritime security, and enhance disaster response, making both nations better prepared for natural disasters and security threats. The U.S. has already invested over $100 million in infrastructure at these sites, building runways, warehouses, and other facilities to support joint operations and humanitarian missions. This marks a major policy shift for the Philippines, which had previously leaned toward China in hopes of economic cooperation and reduced tensions. The pivot back to the U.S. was driven by China's increasingly aggressive actions in the West Philippine Sea, including harassment of Filipino vessels and construction on disputed reefs. By embracing EDCA, the Philippines signals to the world that it won't stand by as its sovereignty is challenged and is willing to strengthen alliances to defend its territory. The alliance with the US is now its primary defense strategy, anchoring the Philippines firmly within the broader security framework of the Indo-Pacific region. China has responded with sharp alarm to the expanded US military presence in the Philippines. Beijing sees this as a provocative act of encirclement, not defense. Chinese officials warn the Philippines against becoming a pawn in great power rivalry. State media frames the EDCA expansion as a direct threat to China's security, especially regarding Taiwan. China threatens economic and diplomatic consequences if Manila continues down this path. On the ground, China has increased Coast Guard and maritime militia activity near Philippine-held areas. Harassment of Filipino fishermen and resupply missions has become more frequent. These gray zone tactics pressure Manila without escalating to open conflict. China's military has also conducted large-scale exercises simulating island seizures and blockades. The message is clear: China sees the U.S. expansion as a serious escalation and is prepared to push back. The current U.S. presence in the Philippines brings to mind an earlier era, when Subic Bay and Clark Air Base stood as major American outposts in Southeast Asia. These bases were not just military installations, they were symbols of U.S. influence and a constant reminder of the Philippines' strategic importance during the Cold War. For decades, these bases were central to U.S. power projection in the region, serving as launch points for operations and deterrence. But their presence also fueled nationalist backlash, sparking protests and debates about sovereignty and foreign control. In 1991, after intense debate, the Philippine Senate rejected a new treaty, ending nearly a century of major U.S. basing. This decision was seen as a bold assertion of independence and a turning point in Philippine history. The U.S. departure was widely celebrated as a step toward decolonization, but it also left a security vacuum in the region. In the years that followed, China grew more assertive, expanding its presence in the South China Sea and challenging regional stability. Today's Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, is different. There are no permanent U.S. bases, only rotational access to Philippine-owned sites. This arrangement is meant to adapt to new security realities while addressing past grievances. The new model is designed to respect Philippine sovereignty, foster cooperation, and avoid the social and political issues that once plagued the old bases. Still, critics worry about a return to dependency and fear the Philippines could become a target in the growing US-China rivalry, raising questions about the true cost of renewed military ties. Supporters, however, argue that the renewed U.S. presence is a pragmatic response to a more dangerous and unpredictable world, where alliances are crucial for national security. They point out that the 1992 U.S. exit emboldened China's occupation of Mischief Reef, a move that has had lasting consequences for regional security and Philippine interests. Now, the revitalized alliance is seen by many as an essential tool to protect Philippine sovereignty and deter further encroachment in the South China Sea. The echoes of history remain strong, but with new challenges and higher stakes, the decisions made today will shape the region's future for generations to come. The South China Sea is a critical global artery. 1/3 of maritime shipping worth trillions passes through. Any disruption here would have catastrophic effects on the global economy. The Philippines commands key choke points, especially the Luzon Strait near Taiwan, and the shipping lanes by Palawan and Balabac. New EDCA sites give the U.S. a vantage point to monitor and potentially control these routes. China's alarm is rooted in the risk of its navy being bottled up in a conflict. The Spratly Islands are hotly contested, with China building military installations on artificial islands. U.S. presence on Palawan allows for closer surveillance and freedom of navigation operations. The South China Sea also holds vital oil and gas reserves, intensifying competition. For the Philippines, U.S. support is a deterrent against Chinese interference with its resources. U.S. military expansion has real effects on Filipino communities hosting these sites. Economic benefits include jobs and local spending, especially in less developed areas like Cagayan and Palawan. But concerns linger over environmental damage, crime, and social friction from foreign troops. Activists fear the costs will fall on the most vulnerable, especially women and indigenous groups. Local politics are divided, some welcome the economic boost, others fear becoming a target. Gaining community support is crucial for EDCA's long-term success. Both governments highlight humanitarian and disaster relief benefits, like building schools and medical missions. These efforts aim to show that U.S. presence brings tangible benefits beyond security. The U.S.-Philippines alliance is one of the oldest in Asia, bound by the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. EDCA's expansion reaffirms this alliance, driven by shared concerns over China's actions. Manila must balance security ties with the US and economic ties with China, a delicate act. Too close to Washington risks Beijing's retaliation. Too close to China risks losing US security guarantees. Leadership matters. Under Duterte, ties cooled. Under Marcos Jr., they've warmed with strong statements from both sides. The alliance's future often depends on political wins in Manila. For the US, the Philippines is a cornerstone of its Indo-Pacific strategy and coalition building. Washington has reassured Manila that attacks on Philippine assets in the South China Sea will trigger mutual defense commitments. This removes long-standing ambiguity and strengthens deterrence. China's response goes beyond words. It's visible in the South China Sea's tense waters. The PLA Navy, Coast Guard, and maritime militia engage in gray zone tactics, harassment, blockades, and swarming disputed reefs. These actions aim to wear down Philippine resolve without open conflict. China's military buildup is massive. The world's largest navy, new carriers, and fortified artificial islands. These outposts project power deep into Southeast Asia, challenging US dominance. The risk of miscalculation is high, with frequent close encounters between US and Chinese forces. Both sides accuse each other of unsafe behavior. This tense environment is the new normal, driven by escalating competition and the US decision to reinforce its Philippine presence. The US military's expanded access in the Philippines marks a pivotal moment in its rivalry with China. EDCA gives Washington crucial staging points to monitor the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. China's response, diplomatic warnings and gray zone coercion, has heightened tensions. The Philippines must balance its US alliance with economic ties to China, all while managing domestic debate. The impact on local communities remains a challenge for the alliance's long-term success. The region is now more militarized and polarized than in decades. The renewed alliance draws a clear line, but China shows no sign of backing down. The world must now ask, will this alliance secure peace or become a tripwire for future conflict?